When people say just start, what they usually try to tell you is to change your life overnight and stick your face in an ice bowl when you wake up at 4 in the morning. But that's impossible for most people, and when you're really stuck, like the kind of stuck where brushing your teeth feels like climbing a mountain, you need something smaller. Before we get into any of that, I need to touch on the mindsets I put in place first, so you know where my head was at. It's the Kaizen approach, the 1% better every day. That's the one that has done the absolute most for me. It doesn't have to be impressive each day, it just has to be forward. It can be 1% better in any aspect of life, and that's what's great about it, is that you're always making progress on something. The other mindset shift that actually stuck was changing my New Year's resolutions to be more realistic, providing direction and an easier approach. 2026 is the vision, but I'm not forcing a finish line. I stopped trying to fix everything in 1 week, and instead of a deadline, I gave myself a direction. I've got goals. I'm not going to rush to cross them off. By 2026, I want to look back and think, yeah, I changed and had time to do it right. I started playing life like a game. Not the how do I win, but how do I upgrade something tiny today, or where am I gaining experience today? And that mindset will significantly improve your life over time. But if you're anything like me, some motivational words won't be enough for you. So here are the systems that I put in place to help me stay focused and reach my goals. I started using the app Notion and having physical journals for long-term thinking. I dumped all my ideas, my projects, and my dreams into these two places. It helps them stop rotting in my brain, and I can bring them to life now because I can flip through pages and see them. I use voice notes to organize my thoughts now. I typically just record the voice notes right on my phone, and then I can upload them to a AI later that can automatically sync them with my Notion notes. I recommend this a ton. It saves you a ton of time, and you don't have to write down practically anything, and it's all right there for you. Your environment influences your brain a lot. I decorated my office, fixed my lighting, and I actually buy candles now. And now it's somewhere I want to exist. My walls are pretty empty aside from where I'm looking, but that's the whole thing, right? It's just the vibe, and it helps me record and think a little bit better. Next, I'm going to get into physical health because a strong body is a strong mind. I wasn't completely out of shape. I was unhappy for sure, and I think it's important to say that because this wasn't about hitting numbers for me. If you want to scale mountains, you're not going to start in the tallest one. And that's what I realized. I used to try to plan every workout in pages, the full diet, full schedule, and I would burn out before I had ever even started. The one single thing that helped me the most was getting a weighted vest and simply just going for walks and pairing that with the fitness app that I'll talk here about in a second. That alone made the walks themselves more motivating, and I was able to get my dog in for extra walks as well. The routine is what matters more than the reason though. If you can't start walking off with a weighted vest, just go for small walks. That's really what did it for me. I started tracking my steps in a fitness app, not to compete with myself. I had a general goal on the phone that I did typically reach, but it was just to notice and track. I literally just had my phone in my pocket, so it wasn't a huge step. You can obviously get a cheaper Fitbit and track them like that, and it's very motivating if you do put them in a visual calendar as well. I stretch and do calisthenic workouts now. I personally don't hit the gym. I'm not a huge fitness guy. I honestly have no idea how people have the energy for that. I have a yoga mat behind me, a weight bench, and some weights. I try to stretch because I sit on the chair on the computer like a lot of you way too much a day. None of this was groundbreaking, but it worked. And that's why I feel like it's important to mention it. You don't always have to go right out into a crazy routine. Sometimes you just have to walk more, track your movement, and stretch a little bit. By doing things consistently, it wasn't a big plan, but it was enough to shift things. Alright, let's get into the social. So I started taking my freelance business seriously. I low-key have to talk to people now. I'm still figuring it out and it can be rough, but that's life. Those are the real things that I still struggle with. I couldn't take a drive-through order at 17 or 18, and now I'm out doing shoots, talking to strangers, and trying to pick up clients. A lot of that came from how I looked and how I handled myself. Two things that helped me the most: dressing in a way that made me comfortable, one for work, one for life, and reminding myself permanently that comparison is the thief of joy. This is probably the aspect that I struggle the most with, being somebody who's primarily inside. I genuinely have no idea how to socialize most of the time, but I don't feel like I have a hard time talking to people. To get really into this, I'd probably have to make a whole other video, so I'll probably skip out on most of it, but just know I'm still working on it. So with that being said, let's get into the environmental side of things. Getting a dog gives me time away from screens and a reason to step outside seemingly for the first time ever. I think like most people, I just had no reason to go outdoors, and I think most of us would prefer video games more obviously, but it's unrealistic to stare at a screen all day. It might seem so simple, but I just really stopped going outside at some point and preferred video games. Now, I will say I know everyone can't get a dog, but I'll admit getting a dog was probably the first step that put all of this in motion for me. YouTube, going outside, and getting in better shape. If If you don't have a dog and music doesn't do it for you, I'd highly recommend that you find a Twitch streamer or a podcast that you enjoy listening to when working out or just doing daily chores. The next thing I'm going to recommend is actually investing into a cheap camera to properly document your life. I know a lot of you are going to be like, well, I have a phone in my pocket, but you will thank yourself in the future when you have higher quality images of your past than just about anybody else does. It's something that will begin to motivate you and perhaps even drive you to want to go places because you know that you'll have that permanent memory of it. Here's a bonus. If you've got half-baked hobbies lying around like an old guitar, a camera, or a sketchbook, pick it up again. You can be good at things that take time now. You'll always look back and say, I wish I started then. So start now. Even if you're unsure where to begin, you can ask AI to find your first small step. It's available to everybody and there's no excuses anymore. Again, sometimes I feel like on the internet, all we see is people doing the absolute most, and sometimes you just need to hear reality and what an average person is doing. And straight up, this is what I'm doing, so I hope it helped. And leave a comment down below with what you're planning on starting or what you would want me to talk about in the next video, and your comment could shape the next one.